OTAs and the NFL offseason are picking up. News is rolling in. Coaches hyping up every single player. What should we react to? What shouldn't we? And what's going to win us a whole boatload of life-changing money in Ball Mania 5 on Underdog Fantasy? That's what we're going to try to do today here on Spike Week. Let's do it. All right, guys, it's time. Taking a couple days. Shout out Disbanded Brotherhood. I can't speak so far today on this show. It's been a little bit since we've drafted a BBM team. I know Underdog has launched several new tournaments. The Sprint, the Marathon. We got Eliminator out there, which I'm very excited for. We'll be doing drafts for those. And, of course, content for those upcoming. Or maybe as soon as next week. There is one Eliminator article already out there from myself in the NFL Best Ball Almanac, which you can check in the description. Get that for just a one-time purchase of $69.99. Our rankings, strategy for all these different tournaments, and tons of different content, including surveys and roundtables and all that good stuff here at Spike Week. If you're playing best ball, I highly recommend, of course biased, but I highly recommend our NFL Best Ball Almanac. And I would be remiss if I did not mention what you will see here in just a minute. As soon as I hop into this BBM draft, our premium best ball tool is the only place on the interwebs that you can get these. Our draft hacker, so you can see everything live during your draft. Your player exposures, the combinations that you have, right? How many George Pickens teams are on, how many George Pickens shares do you have on Lamar Jackson teams, and all that different stuff, highlighting correlations, playoff matchups, and everything with the draft hacker live on your screen while you're drafting your best ball teams on Underdog, DraftKings, or Drafters, and of course our Draft IQ tool to manage your portfolio. Nothing else out there like those, and I highly recommend you can get those via the link in the description. Gabe Davis, our good friend Gabe Davis, is here. It was more fun, Gabe. Shout out to you for still hanging around here with us. It was more fun when we were all like debating Gabe Davis in best ball drafts. You know, when he was on the Bills, particularly the year that he got like mega steamed up in drafts, it was a lot more fun. This sort of bit, if you will. When the Gabe Davis conversation was a little bit more fun. We are in the draft now. If you're watching, looks like it needs just 3 more to fill, which is nice. Shout out Shuby. Shout out to our good friend Billy Jones. Let's have some fun. I agree. Happy Friday. Amen, Lundar. Happy Friday. I just recorded a new episode of Legendary Sickos with our good friend Pat Corain from Legendary Upside and Ship Chasing and everywhere right before this. So I'm very much happy that it is Friday. A little bit tired, as you can imagine, after talking for a long time, as we do on Legendary Sickos every single week. But I'm excited to honestly just draft a team. I think I'm a little zoomed out here. Let's zoom in. Oh no, I'm not logged into the hacker. Let me remove that really quickly. All right, let's go back. Sorry, had to make sure that I was logged in. Al Boogie says, uh-oh, you got Flock in your draft. Yeah, it's nice. I enjoy drafting against other folks from around the space. I don't know which person Flock is, but I do know our good friend Big Country Shuby got in here. Looks like that's about it from our friends and family. Updog missed it. Too slow Too slow of a dog, apparently. Yeah, this is great. Not a fun conversation anymore is the Gabe Davis bit. Now you're just a jag in more ways than one. GM, Meatwad. That is a interesting username. Interesting is I'll just be nice and use the word interesting. But GM, thank you for joining. It's really fun. So it's an excellent username. He got a different name. I don't think that's interesting also because pretty sure you're not supposed to be able to change your usernames. Maybe Underdog has a different policy on that, but I know DraftKings and FanDuel and such, you cannot change your username. It's more of and it's not a legal thing, but it is we don't want people constantly, changing usernames. It's not great. Stand by. Oh, no, it's just not his username. Yeah, so I have the 111 here. And Dorito, our good friend Dorito, says, I think the 111 or 112 is my favorite place on the board to get weird. I could not possibly agree more. With that, I am on the clock here. And let's do that. Let's get a little weird. Let's get a little weird. And let's try to take. Let me think about this. I'm not going to get absurdly weird. I am just going to put. So here's what I'm thinking. Drake London often goes right 14th or 15th. You'll see him anywhere around the board around this range. So this Drake London at the 111 is not in and of itself super weird. But if we take Drake London at the 111 is not in and of himself super weird. In terms of the player combo you would get there, right? If I take Drake London and then Garrett Wilson falls, or I take Marvin Harrison, the two of them is not like super duper crazy. But what I will do is, so now, right, I'm going to pass on Marvin Harrison Jr., scroll down just a tiny little tick, and then I'm going to take Chris Olave. So we take Drake London at, what would be his normal 14 ADP. And then we go for somebody who naturally goes in the mid to late second to pair with him in a totally flat tier. I think, as Dorito said, once you get to the 111, 112-ish range, zoomed in just a smidge too much there. Once we get to the 111, 112, like, honestly, after Puka, I do like Garrett Wilson, but the big difference between Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Marvin Harrison, Chris Olave, Devontae Adams, it's really not that big of a difference. I think that tier is all reasonably close. And so when I'm in that reasonably close tier, if I can just slightly tweak the combination that I'm getting right there and have, relatively the exact same quality of wide receivers, I'm definitely going to look to do that. Yeah, so I totally agree. Meatwad. This is the last time I'm saying Meatwad out loud. Just so you're aware, because it makes me feel a little uncomfortable saying it out loud live into a camera. But Meatwad says, I know some people don't like doing that in terms of getting unique because ADPs can change and it's not that unique, blah, blah, blah. But like you said, when it's a flat tier, why not get different? Yeah. So two things. One, I don't think that the ADPs are going to change so much right at this spot. I think the argument against it would be later in the draft where, guys can fluctuate from the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, whatever, right? Things can fluctuate there in those rounds. I do think I don't worry too much about it. I do think about, in terms of those kinds of combinations, being potentially a little bit different, but it's not so much of a difference that I worry too much later in the drafts. I kind of just want to make sure my players are fitting my team better than necessarily the uniqueness, although I do think about it. So I'm not that worried about the ADP changing here at this spot. I'm pretty damn confident Chris Olave is not going to go at the 1-2 turn. I'm pretty confident that Drake London's going to continue to go anywhere in the 11 to 14 or 15 range on average. I think that that's totally fine. And then, in terms of it's not that unique. I do think it will be unique. We have ownership projections that come as a part of the premium best ball tools that I mentioned at the top. We have ownership projections, so we're projecting all of these player combinations in the first several rounds. So we're projecting the players at the back end of the draft who are not going to be drafted in 100% of drafts based on the currently available information, right? As information changes and as ADPs change, we will update our projections. But as of right now, you can see who is or isn't being drafted at the end of drafts, but also these player combinations. This one is definitely not, I feel more than confident it's not going to be one of the more popular 1-2 turn combinations. And as you said, it's a flat tier. So even if it doesn't end up like super duper unique, what am I missing out on? Why would I take a non-unique combination in a flat tier just because I'm afraid another combination may not be unique? Right? It's like I'm not gaining anything from that necessarily. So I totally agree with what you said there. Looks like Billy says, thoughts on the 49ers double tap at the turn. That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. I haven't done it yet, but it's a little more so just because I don't know that I love the prices on the 49ers guys, right? They are the wide receiver ones /1A, 1B in their offense, but it's not quite the same situation as a typical wide receiver one situation. I just struggle with the cost, of those two guys who are not even the best fantasy assets in their own offense at the 1-2 turn. So now I'm taking the third best fantasy asset, and you also still have Kittle, who's a big piece later. It's tough. I am open to all of those sorts of combinations for sure, and I think double tapping the Niners guys at the 1-2 turn is a little bit more interesting than trying to hopefully get them. I know Brandon Ayuk is going earlier than that, but in case you were to get some falling Debo and Ayuk, taking them with McCaffrey, I think is something people will do more frequently. But I struggle with it because as flat as the tier is, taking the guys amongst the flat tier that are on the same team in the first and second round can be a little bit of a struggle. We are in a wide receiver room, so let's keep starving this beast. We're going to take Tank Dell and George Pickens to make sure that the folks in this draft who are not drafting wide receiver heavy are I'm not going to be the one that falls behind at wide receiver. That much I can guarantee you. Shuby says I did London and Nico from the 112 in my last 555. I like that one. I'm in on London. Obviously, I showed that, and then I'm very much in on the Texans. Obviously, overflow draft. Did you back out? That's funny. A good friend, Dilly, in the overflow, CD out of the 2 spot. CD is one of my guys. Permar says JT, Jonathan Taylor with one of those wide receivers would have been a lot better. I won't argue that if you were not myself, who is committed to 0 running back over the course of this entire summer. I know you were here with us last show or one of our more recent shows. You'll learn that I don't draft running backs. I let you guys have the Jonathan Taylors. We just draft 0 running back teams around here. Let's see here. Somebody asked about single entry. I think that I missed. I apologize. Al, in single entry, do you think you should be unique? I say not so much, depending upon field size. A slightly loaded question, but here's the thing about uniqueness. So in single entry, if our opponents are going to default to just sticking to ADP and looking, looking for values, not doing anything crazy, because it's single entry, that actually gives more credence to doing something a little bit more off the beaten path, because it's actually even more unique if our opponents, because it's single entry, are going to do it less, right? So, and it feels counterintuitive because you say, well, it's just single entry. I'm only putting one team into here, right? From folks that come from the DFS space, people will say this all the time. In my single entry, I'm just going to put my cash team in there, and I'm going to play a 2v2 off the optimal or whatever. And those are actually the contests where it's like not good to do that at all, because even more people are doing that exact thing. And it's smaller, generally speaking. The single, right? Best Ball Mania is much bigger than, say, a single entry tournament. So now more people are sticking closer to what ADP says, and there's less people in the field, meaning a higher percentage are just drafting right along with ADP, which actually makes it more beneficial to be a little bit more unique. Now, you don't have to go crazy, but I don't see any issue at all in doing like exactly what I just did right here. Right? Just a small little tweak at the 1-2 turn, or a small little tweak, like you took if you take a Christian McCaffrey team, right? And you just make a small little tweak there and take some guys who go at the 2-3 turn, take two guys who go mid to late third instead of right at the 2-3 turn. It's a great way to you did not lose anything, assuming you did not cross a different tier. If it's those guys in that tier are all largely the same, close enough. We all have our favorites within any individual tier, but that doesn't mean that they're really starkly different from within that tier. So long as you're not crossing into any tier or missing out on a player that's substantially better than another one, there's really no downsides to just taking a slightly lower owned option. This got me good. This is definitely true. Nico is a good one to pull up because you can get Dell, and Stroud will also fall quite a bit. That is absolutely true. Hello, Bindles. I like that Avi, by the way. Who was my first round pick? It was Drake London here to our friend D. Owens. Drake London, Chris Olave, Tank Dell, and George Pickens to start this team. I do like this as another way to get unique. Paulino says in single entry, drafting guys I know are not being drafted, but could be in late August. That is definitely a good one to utilize in single entry. Of course, this is Best Ball Mania, but you can take that for your what, Greyhound? Is that what it is? The Greyhound. Let's see if, okay, beautiful. All right. We're taking Kyle Pitts. What could possibly go wrong? Another year, another Falcons stack with Drake London and Kyle Pitts. What could possibly be the issue? I would say I can't see how this can lose, but I can see very clearly because I've seen a lot of my teams with the Atlanta Falcons lose. Pretty used to it by now. Yeah. We got a M11 in the draft, and feeling the wide receiver pressure. Your team looks fun though. Tyreek Hill, Jalen went with the heavy Dolphins, and then over to Lamar Jackson and Dalton Kincaid. Definitely a tricky room to veer away from wide receiver. That is for sure. I'm gonna go with a little bully tight end here. George Kittle, one of my most undervalued players. And the interesting thing about this team, I didn't have the option to draft CJ Stroud, and I would not have probably at that turn anyway. But my three other wide receivers, plus Kyle Pitts, plus George Kittle, the quarterbacks for all of them are going to be available to me later. So I feel a little more comfortable, taking the dip at something like some would call this a bully tight end, double elite tight end with Pitts and Kittle there, because I still have really strong wide receiver firepower here, and I have a bunch of flexibility at my quarterback spot later. And as you guys, if you're just now joining, I'll be hammering running backs throughout the double-digit rounds, and I feel very comfortable with that in a 0 RB structure. This Billy nails it. Having optionality to your stacks later. And right, everybody feels the opposite of having optionality in your stacks. People complain or we tilt, right? We get triggered when I got sniped, which is like, first of all, getting sniped is like, if you you have access to draft those players, someone else can draft them if they want them. If you want them, draft them earlier, right? It's like this. The sniping thing is always funny. It's a fun bit. We like to joke about it, but at the end of the day, like, it's a snake draft. If you want the guy, take them. They're not yours. They're not yours until you draft them. Other people can take them. It's not really sniping them, but it does feel uncomfortable. But it specifically feels uncomfortable when you don't have any optionality, right? When you take all the Eagles early on and somebody takes Jalen Hurts away from you, you feel screwed. When you take every Jacksonville Jaguar and you don't have a quarterback yet and you don't get Trevor Lawrence, you feel like, you just wasted that team. So how do we counteract that? One that we've talked frequently about, right, is sometimes what we call around here, oh shit stacks, meaning, oh shit, I don't have a quarterback and maybe I need to build in some correlation with a later quarterback, right? Late round stacks, backdoor stacks, whatever cheap stacks or garbage stacks that however you might, phrase that. That's a way for sure. But generally speaking, we we don't love having these just like a huge exposure, right? Because you're going to end up with a ton of Patriot stacks and Broncos stacks and like Derek Carr to A.T. Perry and like Matthew Stafford to DeMarcus Robinson. And those are not really ideal stacks. They're ways that we like feel better about the team because we didn't get the exact team that we wanted. But the way around that is creating the optionality all throughout your draft. And it's so much easier to build it out that way, where, look, clearly so far, the stack that I would want here is Atlanta with Kirk Cousins. But I don't even love Kirk Cousins as a pick. Pocket passing, not mega cheap quarterbacks are not really my bag. You have the Michael Penix issues, which we don't even need to get into. Saying Penix issues, probably should choose a different phrase than Penix issues. But nonetheless, Kirk Cousins has Penix issues. Feels like there's a bit in there somewhere. But so I don't get Cousins, right? Or maybe I get a good value on Brock Purdy. We take Brock Purdy. I do have Derek Carr in my back pocket. I have Justin Fields in my back pocket at quarterback, and I can continue to build, more potential wide receivers here. I'm still going to take at least 3 more wide receivers. That gives me more options to build into this team. I know who I want here, so don't you dare. Speaking of adding continued optionality, let's see if Film Book takes my guy. I'm not going to say this. I'm not saying this out loud. I've already said enough inappropriate things. I'm taking JMO. I'm trying to get my JMO up here. I've yet to take him in best ball. This is only what is this? 11th team? No, 10th. This is only my 10th Best Ball Mania team, which is part of the reason why I'm streaming it, because I'm behind schedule. I'm ahead of schedule in the DraftKings Millie, and I'm behind schedule on Drafters and on Underdog. So we got some catching up to do, but trying to get my JMO up a little bit. He also fits on this team. Obviously, George Kittle, week 17. And as we just discussed in terms of optionality at wide receiver, gives me outs to Jared Goff. Fantasy Dog says, I like all those late round stacks you mentioned. Yeah, me too. I draft them plenty. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with those late round stacks. It's just if you don't, build in any of this optionality like we're talking about here, you're going to end up with like an absolute shit ton of those stacks. And it's okay, but it's not super duper ideal. All right, so I have 11% Ramondre. What happened to my playoff? My week 15, 16, 17 is not on here, but I have just a metric ton of Ramondre across kind of all the sites. I'm gonna take me some Jonathan Brooks, another player. I'm trying to get my weight up on Jonathan Brooks across all sites and all formats. Ha! This is funny. I got sniped by Rob Coakley. That son of a bitch. I heard he's a real asshole. Rob Coakley on DraftKings today when he took an unstacked Jaden from ahead of ADP. That guy. That freaking guy. Mike asks, where are you on Love, Reed, Watson at current ADP? Good stack or overpriced? I think it's a good stack. I like Jaden. I will say I don't love Christian Watson. I do love Jordan Love and Jaden Reed at their cost. Not like they're not going to be like my highest exposure players, but I'm oh my God. I'm a big fan of both of them. In terms of comparing Christian Watson to the other Packers wide receivers, I do like him more than Romeo Doubs at cost, but I prefer Dontavian Wicks to Christian Watson at cost. And I've not on Underdog yet, but in the sites with 20 rounds, of course, Drafters and DraftKings, I've got a little bit of Bo Melton on Jordan Love stacks. But I do like Jaden Reed. I like the Jordan Love price quite a bit. Best ballin' Love, Watson, Wicks is his favorite Green Bay stack. Our friend, the Wad of Meat, says, just saw Dalvin get drafted. As far as I know, Dalvin Cook does not have a job. Well, maybe he has a job, but not as a football player. I don't know. He might be selling, insurance, or I don't know what his passions are. Could be training his brother. Maybe James is tossing him some cash. I don't know. Lundar says, definitely don't Google Penix and Levis in the same search. That is a fact. Googling Penix is a dangerous game for sure. I haven't done it. Sounds like you guys are speaking from experience. I am not. So we'll just leave it at that. Agree. Go ahead and hit that like button. I always like to say our shows are not free. They cost you one thing, 2 clicks of a mouse. So if you're sitting here, it takes 2 clicks of a mouse, or like a click on your phone. Hit like, hit subscribe, and you won't ever be charged to watch anything on this YouTube channel. You only have to pay for our best ball tools. You never have to pay for our YouTube shows. Let's see here. Oh, gosh. All right, coming back around. Looks like things are stabilizing a little bit more in terms of the running back versus wide receiver. See, so like Purdy, what in the hell? I'm seriously annoyed by my I must have accidentally unclicked my playoff correlations in the hacker. Let me see if I can fix it. Yeah, what the hell? How did this get unclicked? 16, 17. Can't believe I don't have all of the playoff matchups memorized. It's not ideal for me yet to not have them on my screen. All right, it's loading. Let's see here. Raheem Mostert at pick 107 seems fun. I do have probably a little too much, but we do see a little Mostert against Houston in 15 and San Fran in 16. Obviously Purdy there. Let's see. B-Rob. Let's do a little Mostert, a little week 15 and 16 correlation there. See Purdy. I think we're going to wait. We're going to wait on quarterback. Not force Purdy. Let's look at wide receiver. Shaheed would go with Olave and set that up. I don't love that, though, especially given my first two running backs are Jonathan Brooks and Raheem Mostert. I'm going to take B-Rob, though. We're going to take me a little B-Rob. Got that nice little Washington correlation and a little bit of New Orleans week 15 for a tiebreaker. I'm in on this. Dude, technology as a crutch has absolutely weakened everything about my soul, my brain, my body. It's sad. I legit used to know when we first started Spike Week before the Draft Hacker was even built. I used to know I would be able to know who everybody played. Maybe not like I wouldn't like recite weeks 15 and 16 schedules like I could week 17, but like I would know who everybody played in those weeks. I do not know. I still sometimes struggle to remember the weeks. I don't even have it like totally memorized the week 17 schedule yet. It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed. I'm not proud of it, but we built the tool and it makes it so easy. I never have to even like think about it. It just shows up in green on my screen, right? Like I just load it and it's like, oh, hey, look, green. Hey, look, green. And like the green is just like making it really easy for me. So it's a crutch. I'm a weak man and I'm getting old. So that's why. Let's see here. Top stat NFT. Is that a Vince Carter Mome you got going there? I think I owned one of those at one time. One of the early throwback Vince Carter Top Shot Momes. Got the 104 on DraftKings. Who are you taking personally, Chase or something else? Chase. Yeah, if Jamar Chase is available, I would take Jamar Chase. My top 4 rankings are so everybody earmuffs that loves their running backs and loves Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is my 104 ranked. You can get our rankings in the Spike Week Almanac. If you love running backs, I'm probably not doing a very good job of selling them, but I have CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, and Jamar Chase as my top 3. And then a break amongst those elite wide receivers before we get to Amon-Ra and Justin Jefferson. That's great. I think I remember that moment. The Vince Carter one. Those were the good days of Top Shot, man. I was wasting a lot of time day trading Top Shot moments back in those days. But like, what the fuck else were we gonna do? The whole world was shut down, and you couldn't lose money. Every day your portfolio went up in price. You felt like you were doing something good when you really should have just bought the really expensive shit from the beginning and never traded anything, never sold anything until you sold the top. I will say one of my proudest moments is I sold near the top of Top Shot. Not the exact peak, but it was more like we went to the mountaintop and then we got to about right here and I sold, and then it went all the way down to here. I was proud. 100%. I never felt so smart. I've never felt smarter than like day trading Fred VanVleet moments, and like just every day, boom, bought for 12, sold for 20 the next day. And like, you feel like a goddamn genius. And what you realized was like, you're actually losing money doing that. like not losing money. Like I made money, but like, this was everything is going up. You're pissing away potential money by doing it the way that you're doing. Day trading Malcolm Brogdon and Fred VanVleet and Darius Garland and all these stupid moments. You think your basketball brain is like, well, Fred VanVleet's an all-star and he's not priced like us. I legit did this in the Top Shot days, like going through and like valuing all the players and finding like, who's undervalued relative to the rest of the market. Right. And I'm like, it's just so fucking stupid. Like you're comparing like I wasn't actually comparing an NBA 2K rating, but like that's almost what it was like, right? I was trying to say this player is actually this good in the NBA, and another player who's at a similar, stature to him, his moments are 25% more expensive. And so like trying to, find these undervalued assets when that was fucking nonsense. Like just a total waste of time. Just buy the LeBron and the Zion and the John Morant shit and just fucking be done with it. Like, I don't know. It was such a ginormous waste of time. Top Shot rant done. Okay. Now the real question is, do I double tap core? I don't want to, but do I do I take Goff? This is a nice price on Goff. I do think I'm going to take Jared Goff actually. And then I can decide if I'm going to do Cousins, Goff, Cousins. Jesus, what a disgusting quarterback room. I am going to put him in the queue. What's the ADP? 138. Okay. Let's look at running back. Shit. So the question is, what number is my next pick? 155. Fuck. I should have passed on Goff, I think. I think I should have taken the running back and then taken Kirk. I could push it though. I could push it. Amazing memories. I will never forget the early days of Top Shot. So I mean, fun's not the right word, but so fun. Okay, this is a little bit of a sharper rim, and I got a wild ass idea that I'm obsessed with Kendre Miller. Let's see if you fuckers will let me have Kirk Cousins. None of you have. Let's see if we can push it. What's the worst case? I don't get Kirk Cousins, so be it. But I wasn't going to get Kendre coming all the way back around to me. And I like to experiment with some of these kinds of things. So if you're taking something to try in some of your drafts and you don't feel comfortable at all with this team if you don't get Kirk Cousins, I would first ask you why. And then second, I would say, I think you'll find out if you do some like experimenting around with some of these potential fallers, particularly the quarterbacks. If you have the Falcons and you really push it and see like this, let's make Kirk Cousins fall around past ADP. Try it and you'll see it's going to happen sometimes and you'll like your team better. If you don't get him, Derek Carr, come on down later, right? Justin Fields, come on down later. Drake May, come on down later. It's totally fine. But I love like trying to push it with the quarterbacks. Lundar says, I got a rare Steph in a pack and sold it for $13K, used half to pay off a car loan, but then lit the rest on fire on a rare Zion. I feel like a lot of us did, in the same ballpark of different things. Like it was great, made some money somehow on something one way or another. I was, I didn't do much with Zion. I can't even remember. I'd have to go back. I haven't logged into Top Shot in years, several years. I would have to go back and look at my transaction history and all that and see, because I forget. I was, that's going to bother me now. I'll look it up before the next show. Come hang out on Monday night and we'll talk about our Top Shot moms. Shuby says, I made more money from Top Shot than Best Ball. Didn't we all? Nolan, I did the same thing with, the same thing with Rainmakers and player projections. Did not pay off. Yeah. We all thought we were so smart about some angle to the whole NFT space, right? There was something that was undervalued. And what you realize is, there's certainly a lot of volatility in that market. And it's nonsense. Like there was nothing wrong with like the rationale of, I think that this player is undervalued based on the market or whatever. And it's like, but the market is not rational. So it doesn't matter. The market just doesn't give a shit about Darnell Mooney, right? And he ended up sucking. So that was bad. But the market just didn't care about Fred VanVleet. The market doesn't care about, these guys. just is what it is. Malcolm Brogdon was an all-star, the best player on the Pacers at that time. God, if I just put all that money into something worthwhile. There was a time where I just like had cornered the market on Fred VanVleet. Just so stupid. God, what a waste of time. Oh, Jesus. The Wemby prices would be absolutely crazy. Yeah, people love LaMelo. You want to talk about being wrong on the market? The market loved LaMelo Ball in the Top Shot days, and oof, yikes. We're getting close. We're getting close to a mission accomplished. We're getting close to a mission accomplished. Let's get let's just make sure we get some of my RB bros into the queue here. The only moment I kept is a Ricky Rubio number 69 moment. It's listed for God damn it. Is this the Flocky's? What is this guy's name? Flock's Kryptonite. Flock's Kryptonite is what this guy's using. Of course, this takes Kirk Cousins. Speaking of sniped, that's pretty funny. Well, I'm just going to take all the Falcons. Then we're going to take Tyler Algier. We talk about this in terms of taking all the guys on a pocket passers offense, actually on today's episode of Legendary Sickos, which will be out tomorrow for you to listen to. Mailbag episode, part 2. Yeah, that's funny. I was warned. This is true. I was warned. So I have, let's go Ray. Maybe Troy Franklin to set up Bo Nix. I'm gonna do Troy Franklin to give myself the Bo Nix. I don't think it should be an issue. Fields back there and Carr back there. I just don't love Derek Carr, and I would like to give myself the possibility. I'm probably going to turn this into a Justin Fields team. I think that would be ideal. I like to use Justin Fields in these exact scenarios. Like I'll push it at quarterback and not force any of these, like just not great, right? If I get backed into Derek Carr, I get backed into Derek Carr. If I can push Kirk Cousins really far down the board and get him, fine. If I don't get him, fine. I like to use Justin Fields as that kind of like backstop, if you will, because again, we talked about this on the latest Legendary Sickos that you can listen to tomorrow, but I just feel like it's so easy to see how we look back after this season and say, we let Justin Fields go this late because we were scared of Russell Wilson. Like, hey, Russ could get hurt. Quarterbacks get hurt all the time. We had 50 something starting quarterbacks last year or whatever it was. Quarterbacks can get hurt. Russ has not been good. He could just stink and lose the job even if he gets it, or Justin Fields could just beat him out. There's so many paths to Justin Fields, just being such a good pick. He not this team specifically, because I believe the Lions buys early, right? Yeah, week 5. So maybe not as great of a pairing with Jared Goff and the Lions, but if you pair him with, say, Lamar Jackson, the Ravens have a bye week of week 14. So theoretically, assuming Lamar stays healthy, and if Lamar gets hurt, who gives a shit? Your team sucks anyway. But assuming Lamar Jackson gets hurt, I think the Bills have a later bye as well. Week 14, you don't need a quarterback until week 14. You can buy 13, 14 weeks for Justin Fields to come alive and become the Steelers quarterback. I like using him on some different structures like that. Yeah, what if he is the guy you need? Ray says, just entered my first DK Millie, and our good friend, who is apparently an asshole to you folks in drafts, has the 101. Oh, I think he's fading CMC too, right? I think he's fading CMC, so he probably took CD at the 101. Top Stat asks, what's your best dance team looking like? You don't have to apologize for random questions. This is what we do here. We're hanging out and drafting and talking about Top Shot and inappropriate phrasing of NFL football player names and all that stuff. Never apologize. I'm not live to win. I got 3 teams into the finals. And one team that chopped. So, I mean, I drafted 65 teams into the dance is the NBA, for those not familiar, NBA playoff best ball tournament on Underdog. I drafted 65 teams and getting 4 to the finals, 3.5, whatever you want to call it. So really excited about how the NBA playoffs went. We obviously focus on NFL here, like everybody else does. It's where all the money is in best ball. But if you want to play and win best ball in all sports, we do a pretty good job. And this particular NBA playoff stretch was about as good as you could possibly get for. I have Brooks, so I don't want Chuba. Let me think about this. Don't want no. I'm gonna take me some Khalil Herbert. Trying to continue to get a good chunk of the Bears. Now my question is, I would normally push this one more. Let's see what wide receiver looks like. Okay, so I like Javon. No correlation. Tez has some nice correlation there. Houston bring back and Pittsburgh bring back. We're going to do Tez. Rookie wide receiver, thumbs up. Correlated, thumbs up. I like Tez as a football player. Triple thumbs up. So I'm cool on that. But NBA playoff best ball, yeah. Good NBA playoff run for the Spike Week fam. Was almost perfect on the playoff bracket. I did think the Knicks would beat the Pacers, not the other way around, but I did have that matchup and thought the Nuggets would beat the Timberwolves, but still had Mavericks in the finals against the Celtics. But my best team is not live. I think it's the chalkiest team you could get through. Luka, Kyrie, PJ Washington, and Daniel Gafford are just my 4. No Celtics. I could not get any of the right combos to get Celtics through. So I do have one team that only has Jason Tatum on it, but we just wasn't able to get the right playoff teams through to the NBA finals. Fun format. If you enjoy NFL best ball, particularly if you enjoy NFL playoff best ball, which is an amazing game also itself, the NBA playoff best ball game is a ton of fun, and I think we have a pretty big edge around here. Wow. What a fraud. I will say, I'm glad that you said that. I also hope he timed out and he's not just a fraud. I also hope he's listening. He's not, but I hope he's listening. I will say, again, if you've watched any of our stuff, my commitment to this summer is I want to draft exclusively 0 running back. It's what I believe is the biggest edge in the landscape right now. So I'm trying to draft basically every team 0 running back. However, I am human. I'm trying to draft more than 1,000 teams this summer, and they're mostly fast drafts. And so you are going to see me time out. You're going to see me auto pick. I've already auto picked some early round running backs. It happens. I drafted Saquon Barkley just the other day. Auto picking. It happens. If you see me, mum's the word. It's a secret. It stays between us. Don't tell anybody about the auto Saquon teams or the auto Jonathan Taylor teams. We don't have to know. It was a time. This is good. CMC is fine in full PPR. Don't you know CMC is great for full PPR? That's what Rob would say. Totally agree. The playoff best ball stuff is like, I've told the story a million times. Apologies if you've, if you're a loyal listener, appreciate you guys. If you're a new listener, I told this story a million times. The reason why Spike Week exists is because of the unique forms of best ball. I played on draft back in the day. I played MFL 10s. I've played all the different forms of best ball and stuff, and even the draft tournaments and everything. Ton of fun. Loved them. But it wasn't until like the underdog playoff contests in year one, when we had Best Ball Mania 1, and they had the playoff contest back then too. And I was just like light bulb went off. I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like, and the strategy of I need the teams to advance, but I also need to have the players who scored the most points, and I got to navigate through each round, and all that kind of stuff is so fun. And it, like, the light bulb went off where I was like, oh, this isn't just like fantasy football, but I don't have to set my lineup. There's like a ton of opportunity for new games around this space. And we're seeing that with Underdog now, right? They brought in what Drafters has done with the total cumulative scoring. They took the sprint thing. FFPC has their version of the sprint. They took the eliminator with a new format is really super cool. Weekly winners new format is cool. They're doing a ton of stuff like that. That is pretty awesome. All right, well, time to get a little more of this. I've been trying to get some more Eli Mitchell, and this feels like the absolute perfect team to get Eli Mitchell on, especially because I have both of those quarterbacks available to me, Derek Carr and Justin Fields. That's fun. I am going to take Fields over Carr, by the way. Well, assuming Jerry Jurdy, that's a sweet username, Jerry Jurdy, assuming he doesn't take. Boy, this is what happens when you make fun of the whole got sniped thing. If he takes Derek Carr, we're throwing this computer through the window, I think. This is what happens. You make fun of others for tilting, and then the universe, the best ball gods, hear you, and they say, oh, you don't think we're going to put you to the test there? You're talking shit. You talk shit, and that's what happens. It's like last night in the Mavericks Minnesota game, there was a guy in the stands with a handkerchief making fun of Luka because he whines to the refs all the time. And then Luka obviously shits on Minnesota and goes nuts, and they beat the bricks off of Minnesota, and Luka runs down and says, yeah, who's fucking crying now? Talking shit. That's what happens when you talk shit like I was doing. You lose out on Justin Fields. Man, that was painful. Yeah. If he took Carr, it was time to learn Tommy Hudson. Yeah. We were gonna have to pivot there quick. Did I even have any other? Oh, Knicks, right? Yeah. See, so that perfect example of the benefits of optionality. We came to the end, right? Nobody took Bo Nix. Yeah. So we came to the end, and specifically, I gave myself like a total bailout with Troy Franklin. So I had so Fields was my preference, Carr's my number 2, and then if somehow this asshole Jerry Jurdy took both Carr and Fields, it's like, it's fine. You got Bo Nix. It's not ideal. That wasn't what we wanted. We set out for something else on this team. We set out for Kirk Cousins, but keeping that optionality means you're just always still going to have a good team. And maybe not the exact perfect team that you wanted, but we're really bad at knowing which of our teams are going to be really good. That's why we draft a ton of best ball teams. So long as you can continue to make sure that this is a good, well-structured team, it doesn't really matter, honestly, the difference between Justin Fields or Derek Carr or Bo Nix or whatever. That's why we keep that optionality alive. Yep. Versatility. I will run down this team here in a second, but I want to Lundar's question. Does Spike Week have support in the Discord? Yes. So he mentions, I'm signing back up with you guys this weekend, but it looks like the number of tools you have now is crazy. Yeah, we've spent, the last year adding a bunch of stuff. I mentioned we have the ownership projections. There is this thing is free, but there's so many best ball tournaments out there now. We launched what we call a best ball planner, and it has every tournament that's available out there right now. And you can input how many you want to draft into each. It'll show you how much money that's going to cost. It'll show you how many you need to draft per day to kind of stick to that plan. Of course, you can change that around. And if you are a premium member, it will like auto fill how many you've done. So if you're not a member, if you haven't signed up, you can still use that tournament planner, but you're going to have to go in and input how many drafts you've done to keep your plan up to date. If you have done, or if you have signed up already for premium, just like you would send your teams into the Draft Hacker or Draft IQ, it will update in the tournament planner as well. So you can kind of just keep tabs on everything that you're doing from your contest entries. And there's a bunch of other stuff. Go to the site, of course, and check out the menu, specifically under Best Ball Tools. You can see some of the other different tools that we have now. And as you mentioned, the Discord, which there is a link to, the Discord is totally free. You can hang out in there. I don't care. Have fun. We love you guys. You don't have to purchase any of the products to be in the Discord, but there is support in the Discord. Go to the tool support channel to get any questions answered or have any troubleshooting and all of that. Ray says, does the draft tracker does work on mobile? The draft hacker, which is what you saw here on my screen, see here it says Spike Week Draft Hacker ready. The main full version is only desktop. So obviously I'm drafting on the desktop. We do have a mobile version, which is also you can access in the header. It just says Draft Hacker on the menu of the website, and it is a scaled back version that you can use, kind of like, right. So like if you're drafting on your phone, it won't lay over onto your underdog screen like you see on your screen right here right now. But if you flip back and forth, you'll still be able to see your exposures and the playoff correlations and all that kind of stuff. It's just a little bit more of a scaled back and slightly more manual experience on the phone. But we do have an option for those drafting on mobile to use. And then, while we're running down the list here, Shuby says, plus the lab is the GOAT. Hop in the Discord. On Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, we have what we call the lab. If you're in the Discord, you'll get a notification. We hang out on a Zoom call and talk best ball. You can talk to me, you can talk to Rob, you can talk to Hacker, and all these Shuby. A ton of these guys are all in there. We're hanging out. We're talking strategy, right? Where you have questions, just want to talk about a certain subject in best ball. That's in the lab every single Tuesdays, and there's much smarter people than I in there in the lab, where we're just talking. I learn from those guys even more than they learn from me. Let's run this team down, and then we'll get out of here. Everybody can go enjoy their weekend. Drafted out of the 111. We got a little fun with our start, just slightly unique, not crazy unique, but just decided to get a little slightly unique. Drake London and Chris Olave stuck to my zero running back roots with Tank Dell. I just love Tank Dell, by the way. So I would take Tank Dell no matter what. George Pickens in the 4th, Kyle Pitts and George Kittle for little bully tight end action, and then Jameson Williams in the 7th. Finally come back for some running backs with Jonathan Brooks and Raheem Mostert, and then Brian Robinson. Take my first quarterback, Jared Goff, in the 11th round to pair as a stack with Jameson Williams and a little George Kittle week 17 bring back for fun. Kendre Miller, a running back I'm prioritizing this year across all sites, and love him, especially at this price on Underdog, but also a nice little secondary stack option with the New Orleans Saints because I had Chris Olave. Tyler Algier, another Falcon, so big old Falcon stack here. And we didn't get Kirk Cousins. That is okay. He's just a pocket passer. We can benefit from Kirk Cousins being good without needing Kirk Cousins to win in best ball. Troy Franklin as wide receiver 6 kept our options open for a potential backdoor Bo Nix stack, which we almost needed. We almost needed it. Khalil Herbert, Devontae Tez Walker for the Ravens. Some nice little correlation, and I'm a big Tez Walker fan. Eli Mitchell in round 17 to close out the running back room. Also another nice fit on this team. Nice fit on zero running back teams. Happened to be a San Francisco and Detroit team as well. And then we've missed out. We got not sniped, whatever other word. Jerry Jurdy wanted Justin Fields more than I did. I chose Eli Mitchell. He chose Justin Fields. I didn't get sniped. I just chose Eli Mitchell over Justin Fields. So we took the fallback option, which is Derek Carr. But we were all good because we had a Bo Nix stack and a Derek Carr stack and a Justin Fields stack ready in the chamber if they were needed there at the end. Let's see here. Yes. Touch of Green. You still have your free drafters tickets going out. I don't think I've gotten mine yet. Yeah. I don't think anybody have gotten them yet, but they will be coming very, very soon. I'll get a confirmation on exactly when those things are coming out, but don't worry. I promise you, everybody's getting their free drafters ticket if you are a Spike Week premium member. Amen. Go Tank from our boy Meat Wad. Still, just what a disgusting name you have there. It's like both like entertaining, funny, and just vile. Just absolutely vile. But everybody, thank you for joining. Again, hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. Be on the lookout tomorrow for the new episode of Legendary Sickos. Go back and watch yesterday's recorded show with myself, Ben Gretsch, Rich Rebar, and John Daigle, where we drafted the worst picks in fantasy. We outline all of our 3 least favorite picks in all of fantasy. That was a fun one. And of course, hop into that Discord, go get your best ball tools and everything there in between. I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend, you sickos, you absolute sickos. I'll see you next week. That's the show.
Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.